At West Point, we don't just teach operations research, we develop OR leaders in service to our nation. And so when we talk about our students, we prepare our students not only to make decisions where the stakes are real, but these decisions can actually be measured in lives, not just profit or not just efficiency. I'm Colonel Lee, I'm the OR Program Director, and today I'm joined by my colleagues, as well as 4 cadets we're gonna talk you through how we prepare for this in practice. So to give you some context, I wanna give you a little bit of a foreshot into what the West Point Military Academy looks like. So we're an undergrad institution, strictly, and we're located 50 miles north of New York City along the Hudson River. We were founded in 1802 by none other than Thomas Jefferson. And as you can see in the picture on the right, our class sizes are really small. We have less than 18 per class, and we have very engaged instructors that are delivering a lot of personalized instruction. But we're not only just a college. We call ourselves the 47-month leadership experience. So each year we commission over 1,000 officers who join the Army as second lieutenants. And within 5 years, many will command anywhere from 100 to 250 soldiers. And they will make really difficult decisions in very fast, complex, very high stakes environments. And so this whole thing begins at basic training. And this is where they kind of learn how to operate under pressure.
Lane 3 on repel!
So why did I just show you a basic training video at a UPS prize presentation? Because we're different, right? We're tied to the military. In fact, operations research began out of military necessity. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this picture before, but during World War II, a lot of folks were trying to reinforce where the bullet holes were. But there was a mathematician who came out and said, you know what? It's actually the areas where the bullet holes are not that we should reinforce with more armor. This key insight into survivorship bias actually helped save a lot of lives during World War II. Couple that with analysts studying the Soviet rail network during that same exact time. They looked at bottlenecks. They looked at choke points, weak points. This is actually the first application of what we know now as the max flow problem. And so when we look at all this to frame why OR especially sits at the heart of West Point's mission, I'm going to turn it over to our Vice Dean.
West Point's mission is to build, educate, train, and inspire leaders of character for service to the Army and the nation. But West Point is more than a military academy. It is a community committed to cultivating intellectual capital, scholarship, innovation, and disciplined thinking in service of something greater than ourselves. At the heart of that enterprise is our Operations Research Program, led by Colonel Andrew Lee. Operations Research was born out of military necessity, and today it remains essential to the Army's ability to make sound decisions in complex, uncertain environments. Operations research thrives within a broader ecosystem of innovation at West Point. Through our Innovation Hub, cadets and faculty collaborate across discipline to solve real Army and national challenges. Through West Point's Projects Day Research Symposium and our externally sponsored research, ideas become operational tools. And through the West Point Press, our scholarship extends beyond this campus, informing professional discourse, shaping policy conversations, and contributing to the intellectual foundation of the Army. We are proud to share this work with the Informs community and to represent a program that embodies the Academy's commitment to intellectual excellence in service to the nation.
Okay, great. So the Vice Dean mentioned one thing that makes us especially unique, and it's the fact that every single cadet takes OR as the first course in the math core curriculum. not only the third, the first course in the curriculum. And we call this the data-driven modeling course. And so I'm going to talk to you about the details of this course next. But in this course, students learn how to be data literate. They learn about things like trade-offs, constraints, how to look at evidence from the data. And so after that, they then take the calculus, sequence, and statistics. So what does this first course, data-driven modeling, actually look like? So typically, we have our students go from data to insight and then to decision, because it's important as leaders in the Army. For example, they might start with some data-driven question, like how do we predict success at West Point? They would be given some kind of data that's messy, incomplete. Maybe it's admissions type data, either real or synthetic. And then they have to figure out how to deal with missing data, how to deal with duplicates, how to standardize the data. And then they go into the 3 types of analytics: the descriptive analytics using exploratory data analysis, looking at correlations, looking at difference between groups. Then they go into predictive analytics, and we have them focus here on linear regression as well as k-nearest neighbors. And remember, this is every single student taking this course. And then afterwards, they do prescriptive analytics where they focus on linear optimization. And so this is a great OR first course for every single future Army officer that we have. So in the second semester of their freshman year, they select their major. And we have about 35 folks selecting the OR major each year. And to signify this milestone, we have them ring a bell. It's a very simple tradition. I'm going to show you a little video here. So they ring this bell very loud and proud. And then we have our faculty that jump up out of our offices, put our grading aside. We're very happy to do that. And then we come out and greet them, congratulate them for joining the OR program. We have a lot of very supportive faculty that are offering a lot of one-on-one AI, we call it, additional instruction or office hours. And we also serve as their academic advisors throughout the year. So these are our most recent OR graduates from this last cohort. I want to talk to you next about the OR curriculum. So we go from freshman year, which is actually, we call them our 4th class cadets, all the way to senior year, and we call them our 1st class cadets. And as you can see here, they take a wide range of courses for a Bachelor of Science degree, things from English, philosophy, as well as sciences like chemistry, physics, but they also take courses like military leadership, which you might not see at other schools. And within this, the OR major has a very nice, clear structure. So first, we offer foundations in linear algebra, discrete math, so that they can actually understand what proofs are, especially. Statistics, optimization, nonlinear and linear, as well as programming in terms of Python programming from A to Z, as well as data science and machine learning. And these 2 are courses that we actually added about 5 years ago as part of our modernization effort. And then they finally end with a year-long capstone project. And this is something that my colleague is going to go into more detail later on. We are also very interdisciplinary. So we work with the Department of Systems Engineering. So our students all take courses in courses like decision analysis, as well as simulation, stochastic modeling. And finally, the cadets each pick a thread. So they go deeper with electives that they choose, so they can do things like data science, go deeper into finance or operations management. But more important than the structure here is to understand why our students even choose OR in the first place. So to explain that, I'm going to pass it over to Tyler Gorlick.
I'm Cadet Tyler Golick. I'm a senior OR major, and in May, I'll be joining the Army as an infantry officer headed to Oahu, Hawaii. You can see in the middle photo there, that's my dad. He's the main reason why I went OR. He was an OR major at West Point, and he later became an ORSA, or Operations Research Systems Analyst, in the Army. Growing up, I remember going on road trips as a family, and he would give me math problems to do in the car until my mom made it stop. So he inspired a love for math in me and from an early age. I also had a unique experience of being around the department as a kid. He taught for 3 years as a junior rotator. You can see me on the right there rocking some new Army math gear for Christmas one year. And I got to join some of his classes, and they felt very familiar. As Colonel Lee mentioned, max of 18 cadets in a class, so very intimate, very different from a traditional school. I remember one day specifically, he taught the same lesson of prob and stats twice in the same day. So in the morning, I went to class, took some notes. Afternoon, some of the cadets were getting a little sleepy, not answering that many questions. So I hopped in as an 8-year-old, answered a few, surprised them. So they thought he was a whiz. But more importantly than that, I was attracted to OR for the chance to solve real world problems. I saw my dad as an ORSA in the Army, work at U.S. Strategic Command in Omaha, Nebraska, and then later at Missile and Space Intelligence Command in Huntsville, Alabama. And I could tell not only was he getting intellectual challenge from his jobs, but also a real sense of purpose. I've tapped into this real sense of purpose a little bit through my projects at West Point. Last year, working on summer scheduling optimization for cadets at West Point, and then this year working on maintenance cost forecasting for Army ground units through the Army's Artificial Intelligence Integration Center, AI2C. I've also gotten this experience within the classes within the major. I'm going to hand off to Claudia to talk about her experience with classes within the major. Thank you.
I'm Cadet Claudia Brodsky, and after commissioning in May, I will join the Army as a logistics officer and be stationed in Anchorage, Alaska. I chose operations research because in high school, I love my statistics and calculus classes, but I wanted to do more than just learn the concepts. I wanted to apply it to help solve real world problems. And this is what led me to OR. OR gave me the framework I was looking for. It showed me how to take these complicated problems and then structure it in a way that led to better decision making. My favorite classes that I've taken have been linear and nonlinear optimization. This is exactly what I was looking for. I learned how to allocate resources efficiently when you can't have everything you want. Right after taking this class, in between my junior and senior year, I had the amazing opportunity to serve as a cadet basic training logistics officer, working with this fantastic staff of cadets. So this was such a cool time in my career where I could learn real Army skills before I was about to commission, as well as apply the academic topics I've learned in my major. So during this training, I was responsible for moving and managing limited resources across 5 weeks. This included food, water, and convoys, as well as the in-processing of over 1,200 new cadets for the class of 2029. What stood out to me was how directly the concepts that I learned in the classroom applied. I was thinking in terms of constraints, trade-offs, and how to best allocate resources across competing environments. For example, one morning, we had to move over 1,600 pounds of ice due to an oversupply. The ice was a critical resource as the medics needed to be able to prevent heat casualties. And in the middle of New York summer, it also turned the Humvee into the best AC that we had. Building on that experience, my senior thesis now focuses on integrating AI and data processing with large-scale sustainment data in the Pacific. I'm applying the same skills I've learned as an OR major, but now magnifying it with more data and more complicated tools. Speaking of research, Lieutenant Colonel Nelson will talk about our robust research program.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Russ Nelson, Associate Program Director of Operations Research. A defining feature of our OR program is how early and how deeply students engage in meaningful research through underclass independent research, immersive summer internships, and a culminating year-long senior research experience. Over the last 3 years, our cadets have completed 293 research projects, including more than 100 focused on AI and machine learning. Our students work alongside faculty on externally funded projects that address complex, ill-defined problems for clients. Partnerships across the Army and Department of War place students on mission-critical problems, from contested logistics and predictive maintenance to personnel and energy resilience. Industry collaborations in sports analytics, mobility, and aerospace ensure our students engage real data, constraints, and stakeholders. At the national level, our program contributes to highly competitive NIH and NSF awards. Through an NIH-funded Nutrition for Precision Health project, cadets apply modeling and data analytics to health and behavioral data, producing research that advances science while developing students as analysts. Through the NSF-funded Sports Content for Outreach, Research, and Education Network, our program collaborates with leading universities to broaden data science education using authentic, case-based sports analytics problems. A cornerstone of our research ecosystem is our Academic Individual Advanced Development, or AIAD program, which are summer internships that place our students in professional organizations solving essential problems. Over the past 3 years, we've expanded this program to 30 annual opportunities, engaging more than 50 students each summer across government, industry, and academia. Nearly a third of these internships transition directly into senior projects. The result is a virtuous cycle, experience-based learning that accelerates student development while advancing faculty scholarship and partner impact. While summer AIDs provide early exposure, the intellectual centerpiece of the program is a required year-long senior research experience. A great example of a cadet who conducted independent research as an underclassman, attended multiple summer internships, and conducted a year-long senior thesis is Jack Hernan with his work in contested logistics. Working directly with Army Engineer Research and Development Center, Jack tackled an operational problem: how to generate safe, efficient, and diverse logistics routes in environments where the enemy actively threatens supply lines. His work had immediate impact. ERDIC decision makers used Jack's results to select a routing algorithm for use in their model. For this contribution, Jack earned an Innovation for Soldiers Award. Equally important, Jack communicated his work effectively, briefing senior leaders, presenting at the Military Operations Research Symposium, and publishing his research. Like Jack, every senior has the privilege of presenting their work at the Math Research Symposium. Each year, MARS brings together over 300 attendees, including students, faculty, Army leaders, Department of War sponsors, and industry partners. Key speakers include Mr. Sankar from Palantir Technologies and OpenAI's former head of research, Mr. Bob McGrew. For our students, MARS is where research meets communication, where they defend ideas, brief stakeholders, and brief professional networks. MARS is the culminating research experience, launching our students as analysts and problem solvers. Following me, analyst and problem solver, Cadet Carter Kaufman will discuss his research.
I'm Carter Kaufman. I'm a senior OR major. And after graduation in May, I'll commission as an aviation officer in the Army and attend Rotary Wing Flight School at Fort Rucker, Alabama. So like Lieutenant Colonel Nelson said, the West Point Math Department has a phenomenal research program. I started my first research project my sophomore year. It was more theoretical in nature. I was looking at properties of ODEs. And more recently, I've shifted to more of an OR research mindset with my senior year research thesis, assisting first responders for natural disasters and looking to optimize hurricane shelter locations. And so just to give you a little brief insight into my research, I'm looking at Reddit data from Hurricane Ian. We have about 1.5 million comments, and I'm trying to identify people who've posted on Reddit seeking need of assistance during or following the hurricane. So I've used several different NLP methods like BERT, few-shot learning, or latent Dirichlet allocation to identify what I now call SOS comments. And then after identifying those comments, I'm looking to pull geographic location text data from the comments itself. Sometimes the geo-tagged information on the comments isn't always accurate, but there may be information in the text itself, like an address or relative location information. And so once I pull that data, I can then plot that on a map. And so if you see the map to the right of the screen, there are red circles, and those are comments that are requesting some specific urgent need of care from first responders. And that can help inform hurricane shelter locations. So I've plotted around in the Fort Lauderdale area the need with the actual current hurricane shelter locations, and that's what I'm looking to optimize. It's a bit of a complex problem because I know that my data is in no way complete. It's very uncertain, and so how do I balance the information I have with the information that's still unknown and create an optimized solution, or at least a recommendation for improved hurricane shelter locations in the future? I've been fortunate enough to work alongside a research group from MIT Lincoln Labs. They have a lot of data on demographic data that has helped me with the optimization process, and they're also looking to use or build an AI-enabled user interface for victims during natural disasters, specifically hurricanes. And my research has come alongside theirs in helping provide better recommendations for those hurricane shelter locations. Lieutenant Colonel Nelson mentioned the Math Research Symposium. It's coming up in about 2 weeks, and I'll get to present my research in a 4-minute lightning talk presentation. It's been really challenging to condense a year's worth of research into only 4 minutes, but it's been a great experience for me. It's really helped sharpen my communication skills. I'm really fortunate to have had that experience. It's also a competition, so wish me luck. Just overall, the West Point Math Department's research program has been a great experience for me. It's really broadened my understanding of math and how optimization can fit into multiple different sects of mathematics, including data analysis and NLP. And it's shaped my understanding of how to approach a very large problem with a mathematical framework. And I'm really, really grateful for this experience. To talk more about her experience with the OR program and how her mindset has shifted with how to solve problems, I'll be followed by Cadet Christina Zick.
I'm Christina Zick, and in 41 days, I'll commission as second lieutenant in the logistics branch of the Army. I chose OR because I was attracted to the optimization mindset. How do we maximize value while minimizing cost? How do we complete all the necessary tasks in the shortest amount of time? This optimization mindset has changed how I address everyday challenges. When my roommates and I were deciding on the layout for our room, we decided to map our furniture on a grid in order to maximize the amount of open squares. That kind of annoyed my third roommate, who was not a math major, but she moved the furniture around for us, so it worked out. And then as head manager for the volleyball team, I had to determine the amount of time everyone had to be there. I tried to make that the shortest amount of time possible, while also ensuring that all the games and practices ran smoothly. This efficiency mindset will carry over into my Army career. As Claudia and I will be logisticians, efficiency is key. We'll be in charge of moving people, ammunition, and fuel from one place to another as quickly and safely as possible. When we optimize systems, we accomplish missions more effectively, conserve resources, and better take care of our people. These are pictures of my roommates and I. We took senior photos and when we got our branch assignments. And the bottom is the volleyball managers. On the far right of that image is Second Lieutenant Zoe Winston. She was a recipient of the Nye Hennessy Scholarship and a proud Army Math alum. To talk more about our scholarship winners is Lieutenant Colonel Warnke.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Scott Warnke. I'm an Associate Program Director in the Operations Research Program. Unfortunately, I have to follow these four awesome undergraduates, but as Christina mentioned, one of her roommates is a scholarship winner, so I just want to highlight some of our past scholarship winners. These are all undergraduates, and their high achievement was recognized at a national level. You can see Gates Scholars, Rhodes Scholars, Rotary, GEM, and Lincoln Labs. So I feel our program really postures our graduates to go out and succeed early in their Army careers. But we also have a long-term impact in industry, the broader analytics community, and then long-term influence within the industry. So I'd like to share some comments from some of our past graduates.
My name is Captain Riley Rudolph, and I'm a proud 2021 graduate of the United States Military Academy's Operations Research Program.
My name is Chris Moon. I graduated from West Point in 2011 with a degree in Operations Research.
This is Kyle Snook, West Point class of 2008, and Military Inform's top Operations Research cadet for the year of 2008.
I am Omar Jones. I'm a 1992 graduate from the United States Military Academy at West Point, and I had the privilege of being the first West Point graduate to have a major in Operations Research.
Hi, this is Captain Robin Boo. I'm currently serving as a data engineer and a project lead at the Army's Artificial Intelligence Integration Center, and I graduated from West Point in 2019 with a degree in Operations Research.
Hi, my name is Sean Clement. I'm a 2009 graduate from the United States Military Academy at West Point, where I majored in Operations Research.
As a young Army military intelligence officer, I credit the program for giving me the confidence to advise 4-star generals and to send recommendations directly to President Obama.
As an engineer, I've managed over 10 construction projects across the Pacific in countries like the Philippines and Indonesia. And every day I apply the lessons from my OR education, such as resource optimization and cost-benefit analysis, to keep those projects on track. My academic training then directly led to me being named the 2023 Engineer Platoon Leader of the Year. And it's that same OR skill set that I'm now applying today to my personnel management and systems optimization as I prepare for company command.
Whether it was combat patrols in Afghanistan and working through complex supply and logistics problems in the heart of the battlefield of Afghanistan, or whether it's leading Axia Women's Health as the Chief Executive Officer, one of the country's largest vertically integrated women's health organization, I fall back on my learning through Operations Research and West Point all the time.
I culminated my career as the Commanding General of Army Installation Management Command, which is responsible for all 104 Army installations around the world. That includes infrastructure management, security, a 60,000 person workforce, and every day in that 3-year command, I applied the fundamentals of Operations Research to make sure we were allocating our resources against the highest priority requirements, that we were being as efficient, as effective as possible. And those fundamentals, those tools I learned at West Point, that disciplined way of thinking was essential in every day as we contribute to Army readiness and the quality of life of Army people.
Well, Operations Research served as my launchpad after the military, from earning a law degree at UC Berkeley to an MBA and a master's in mechanical engineering at Columbia University. Professionally, the program helped me to execute billion-dollar M&A transactions as a corporate lawyer, and to my current role as a private equity investor.
The USMA OR program doesn't just teach its students, it creates leaders.
I use the analytical tools and the disciplined way of thinking that I learned at West Point through the Operations Research Program through my 33 years of service, culminating last summer in my retirement as Lieutenant General.
Those traits have been especially relevant in my current job, where I lead a technical team for integrating computer vision solutions for aided target recognition, or ATR, into Army formations.
I learned I could connect real-world applications with mathematical theory in a way that I just didn't think was possible.
I am extremely grateful to the OR faculty and community.
There truly is no institution more deserving of this award.
I am so thankful that I had the opportunity to achieve this major at West Point, and it has been one of the more functional aspects of my educational career that I've been able to put in play over the last 20 years.
And I thank the entire mathematics department and the Operations Research team at West Point for what they continue to do for our cadets, our Army, and our nation. Thank you very much.
Go Jets, beat Navy.
Go Army Math.
Yeah, the Beat Navy in the Annapolis room just rings home for us. So we've talked about some of our graduating cadets. We also have at West Point what we call our second graduating class. So most of our instructors are identified after about 6 to 8 years in the Army. They're selected to come back and teach in the math department. We get about 10 to 12 of them. They go pursue a graduate degree, and then they come back and teach in the math department for 3 years. After those 3 years, they return to the Army, and that's what our dean oftentimes refers to as the second graduating class of West Point. So that second graduating class produces a lot of high-quality officers that are sought after within the Army because they bring a lot of analytical power into the force. Specifically, many of us transition to a specific job within the Army called a FA-49 Operations Research Systems Analyst, or an ORSA. So about half of our junior faculty, when they return to the Army, return as ORSAs. So obviously, we've talked previously about some of our connections within industry. We're dressed a little differently. One of our primary clients within industry is the military. So we bring that analytical capability forward into the force. To be frank, with our Department of Math, FA-49s, the ORSAs, when they return to the force, they're sought after for some of the more critical positions because of what they learned in the classrooms, teaching cadets. They can do a lot of traditional OR roles, simulation, discrete modeling, optimization. Within the Army, they serve in various positions, oftentimes some of the higher institutional parts of the Army, so just up the road to the Pentagon. We'll be deployed forward with some of the operational armies and our operational data teams. And then we'll fulfill also some of the traditional analytical centers, such as the Army Center for Analysis. I myself was a junior rotator. After 3 years, I transitioned to be an ORSA. And when I left, I was assigned to the United States Army Recruiting Command, where we were trying to recruit people to join the Army. Lots of data and lots of optimization goes into that. So while I was in that role, we did a lot of traditional things, production analysis and market analysis, the things you might normally associate with that. About 7 months into my first ORSA assignment, COVID happened. So all of the training, all of the money that was invested in my Army career to prepare me for this ORSA role kind of went out of the window. And really quickly, I had to develop forecasts to update the commanding general. We had to pull data from all sorts of different sources. So it could be the CDC, it could be the Surgeon General tracking cases, down to each county level, how many beds were available in hospitals, so that we could develop a kind of bottom-up, data-driven decision to let the commanding general know what the situation with COVID was in every county in the country. None of my Army training had prepared me for any of that. It was all of the stuff that I'd done in the classroom teaching cadets like this. So I was able to kind of develop this sitting in my bedroom with the delivery guys coming to the door and trying to figure out how to do this remotely. But it was that training in the classroom that our OR program really developed that allowed me to be successful in my OR career.
To summarize, OR was born in the military. At West Point, it's more than just a technical discipline. It shapes our leaders of character. And it starts with this first OR course that I remember every single cadet takes in the core curriculum. We also talked about the year-long plus experience with research, which culminates in this math research symposium at the end. There's 2 talent pipelines for OR analysts in the Army. There's the OR graduates from our major, but then there's also this rotating faculty that go back into the force as operations research systems analysts. So in just 41 days, and no one's counting, these 4 cadets that you see in front of you are going to graduate, and they're going to be no longer students. They're going to be leaders in the Army. Remember, commanding lots and lots of soldiers. They're going to make decisions where there's going to be real consequences here. And so oftentimes mission, lives, responsibility are often more important than efficiency or profit measures. And this is exactly why OR is important at West Point. Thank you so much.